Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid radio program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Hey folks, happy Friday evening. Welcome to the program. I am your host, Scotty Roberts. This is my show, the Intrepid radio program, right here on my YouTube channel. It's not technically a radio program right now. We're a podcast until the radio station gets back up and functioning again over at Odyssey Radio. And Russ has got his hands full with all kinds of things over there. So once we get that back up and running, we'll officially be a radio show again. And until then, we're just a podcast in several different locations where you can find us. If you're over on the Instagram page or either of the Facebook pages or the X page, you can come on over to the YouTube channel and join the best chat room. The chat you can talk in all those other channels. There are comment bars that you can place comments in down below the window, but nobody in the chat room can see that, and you can't see anybody's post over from the chat room. So come on over into the chat room, and you can join us over here. And that's at youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And so as soon as you start pouring into the chat room, I'll say hello to some of you that are over there. And it's a Friday night. Fridays, we've traditionally done paranormal types of shows. And so tonight, just a little bit of a left turn, if you will, from the paranormal, getting into AI and the metaphysical, consciousness, sentience, all of that kind of thing. We're going to discuss that a little bit. I'm no expert on this, so I'm going to be sharing with you information I've gleaned on all these things. But your input, if you've got any experience in this at all, or you want to talk about this stuff, come on over to the YouTube channel, join the chat room there, and you can make your mind known. So good morning, good evening, Morgan Snow. Good to see you. Field Guy, good to see you as well. And all you others I see over there, I can see you. You're all over there, just not in the chat room. Come on into the chat room. You don't have to. It's not embarrassing. It's nothing to it. Come on in and chat, speak your mind, or just sit there and watch what everybody else is saying. Skynet has become self-aware. We are all bleeped, so says Field Guy. There it is. Rudy Dog, good to see you, brother. Nice to have you here tonight. Hope you're doing well and doing better. I know you've had some rough days. So hope all is going well with you, brother. And so as you all filter in, I'll say hello if I see you. If not, I'm going to be too wrapped up in the things that I'm talking about. So before we get really rolling, I'm going to do this. I stepped away from doing these for a while. We gave it a rest, but I like doing these. Spark courage. Here, let me take this thing down so we can all see each other. I'm going to put up our little proscenium arch, which is right here, and I'm going to take down this graphic, and I am going to put up our scroll bar. These are all things that if I had a producer, my producer would be doing these for me. But since we don't have a producer, I do it myself. So there we go. Scroll bar. All right. Those are all the places where you can find this show. You can find me. You can find all my junk. And you can have a good time digging through that stuff. And now, spark courage. This is a thing that I use now. Rudy Dog has been at the Renaissance Festival with me. He was also part of the the 42nd Royal Highlanders when we did the French and Indian War reenacting with the redcoats and the kilts and the muskets and all of that stuff. So he knows what I'm talking about when I say this. Being at the Renaissance Festival was one of those things that built our confidence. Same with the regiment when we go do a little more Renaissance Festival was kind of fantasy, fun, history be damned, while the regiment was spot on history. And we had all kinds of school kids would come in, and we'd do all kinds of public events with that. And as a matter of fact, Rudy, if you remember well, the weekend after the last weekend of festival, which would be starting today and tomorrow and Sunday, was always what big event of ours with the regiment? It was the Big Island Rendezvous down in Albert Lee, Minnesota. And we always had a great time with that. Had a lot of fun down there. This weekend bears a lot of memories for me doing that kind of thing. And whenever I step outside and I smell a smoke fire, and Rudy, maybe you can click into this as well. I smell a smoke fire. You know what that makes me think of? Being at rendezvous, doing the regiment, and all of that kind of stuff. Hey, Elvis, good to see you. He says, smashing the like button. Skull. Thank you, sir. And so all of those places, my point was, before I rabbit trailed, are the places I learned confidence, the places I learned to speak in public, the places I learned to interact with people and not give a good goddamn what they thought about me. Even though deep down inside, you always care what people are thinking about you. But, this was my style. This is what I had to say. And I learned confidence in delivering what I had to say to people. And that's what this really plays off for me, that same brand of confidence, this spark courage. If you're not familiar with what this is, I do these every now and then. At the beginning of the show, it's a box of fake matchsticks that I bought at a garage sale for like $0.25 several years ago now. And each one of these matchsticks, there's 50 of them in this box, has a little message on it on how to spark your courage, how to be bold. 50 ways to be bold, it says down below. And so I love to take these out of the box and just go extemporaneously. We don't even we don't look up the topic and try to figure out what we're going to say about it. We just do. And I got to put on my glasses for this. And by the way, as you look at me, I'm not as tired as I look. It's my eyes. My eyes still haven't healed up, and it makes it look. It's funny. You can tell it wasn't cosmetic surgery because it doesn't make me look any better. It just makes me look older. Now, this is for the muscles in my eyes after the cataract surgery. And so it's been about almost a month now. But he says about another month before it's all healed up. I just think I look really old now. Really old and really tired. And I need my bifocals more than ever before. So this matchstick says... Or I'll hold this up here, and you can see it too. Speak or perform in public. That's what we were just talking about. Now, these matchsticks are all about finding ways to build your confidence. How to be confident out there. How do you be confident? Well, you step out and you do. And, if you're shy, the best way to overcome shyness is to go out and be bold. Go with the boldness that's inside. Go out, step out. So how many of you have taken opportunities to go out and speak in public? For me, when I go speak at events about my books and things like that, I rarely go by any kind of structured notes anymore. I have an idea of what I want to say, and I sometimes will jot down notes. I keep dropping these as I'm putting them in the box. But for the most part, I know my material. I throw it up there if I have a PowerPoint, and I just start talking. And that's basically what I do on this show. I have a format I follow. I have notes here that I refer to. You can sometimes see me reading them, but I'm pretty extemporaneous. So the best way to build your own personal confidence... Here, let me get this matchstick I dropped. before I ruin it with the wheels of my chair. That's why I had to bend over and do it right now. Is to go out there and actually do it. That's how you build up your confidence. And that's how you speak with confidence. Rudy says, you guys definitely helped me out a lot with that, especially being on Ensign. Oh, he says, I definitely remembered that. I remember embarrassing Bill. He was the guy that played our captain out there. And that's when those Japanese beetles were around. And I stand there at attention and they're biting me. Rudy carried our banner, our flags, our ensign. Interesting. Never heard about this. I'm not sure what I missed there, what you're referring to. But face the fear, definitely, brother. That's what it's all about. That's how you increase your boldness. You face your fear. You go out there and you just do it. And what do I care if somebody out there that I'm talking to disagrees with me or has a difference of opinion or thinks my opinion sucks? I don't care. And I will state what I state, and I will state what I know. And people don't like that sometimes, especially, okay, my mind shifted before I was really thinking of where I was going with that. In politics, people don't like that. I know I get into discussions with people that they don't want to hear it. They put up bullshit about politics, and I say, hey, that's, and they'll say, well, that's just your opinion. I say, no, it's not. There's a difference between opinion and fact. If somebody says, oh, I think he's just an idiot, that's an opinion. There are many different political things that come up that people say. And, sometimes I'm not invited to speak on some people's public posts, but there's the key word, public. If somebody puts up a public post and they have invited me to be their friend, why am I excluded from commenting on that public post because my opinion might be different than what they are expressing? If I put up an opinion or a political fact, as I would call it, up on my social media, I would expect that every one of my friends has a right to come in there and say their piece. And I invite it. I don't get mad at anybody. The only time I ever get upset with anybody is when they abuse other people in the chat room or in my comments. Or if after a while they've been warned, I'm like, look, okay, I've had enough of hearing the orange fruitcake in office or the purple eggplant behind the desk or the whatever. I get sick of those kinds of comments. It's like, you know what? If you're going to put up a public post and allow me to be included in it because you befriended me on your social media channel, why is it that you don't like it when I say something, but you're okay with everybody who agrees with you and kisses the ass of your comment? And I don't go in and belligerently troll people. I just go in, if I see a good friend of mine say something that is off the market, well, wait. Now you're saying this, but that's not how it came down. Or I see a lot of things where people say, well, Trump said this and that. The big one I've dealt with a couple of people, it seems, in the last couple of days is, well, Trump's going to be a dictator. He said so himself. I hope you're all laughing because I hope you're all a lot more informed than that person or those people who say those things. Did Trump say he was going to be a dictator? Yeah. He said for the first minute in office. And it was sarcasm. He was tweaking the nose of the people who said he's going to be a dictator. And that's all it was. And people will say, oh, what? Well, what? How do you know that? You don't know that. Yeah, I do. You know why? Because I follow the man and have followed him for 8 years. And I know the kind of person he is. I know he can be narcissistic. He can be egotistical. He can be all of this stuff. But he's definitely also somebody that loves his country. And he's going to do the right job. And he doesn't want to be a dictator. So when people say that, I will counter them. He never said he was going to be a dictator. Yes, he did. I go, well, show me where he said it. And they'll quote the phrase. I go, okay, you got the phrase down. Was that it? Did Donald Trump appear on TV and say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be a dictator. Thank you. Good night. I said, or was there more to what he had to say? What's surrounding it on the front? What's bookending that comment? And people just don't get it. And they don't get it. I've got some guy that's talked to me back and forth. It's gone on for a couple of days because he keeps saying things. I say things. Okay, I'll answer that for you. And one guy in all of that said, well, why don't we, and this has become a used phrase, let's just agree to disagree. And but he said more than that in his comment. He said, look, we come at it from our different angles. We'll agree to disagree on this point, but I know we both love America and we both want to see things happen the right way. Let's just all keep our eyes open. And I'm like, boom, spot on. I'm right there with you, even though I disagreed with what you said. Yeah, Rudy, you're right. People are offended too damned easily. And like I've said about offense, you can't offend me. You know why? Because I would have to appropriate your attended offense in order for it to offend me. I just do not appropriate your offense. And that's what everybody should learn out there. All the people who speak up for the groups that you notice, all the people that are out there that are speaking for the groups that are being offended by a book or a this or a that or the other thing out there that's so offensive. It's not usually the group that's saying it. It's somebody, these self-appointed watchdogs who are out there saying this is offensive to people. I still love the Doc Holliday, Val Kilmer is Doc Holliday meme. Shows him with the big round hat, and he's got the silver cup that he's drinking out of. He says, sir, if I am to be offended or insulted, I think it says, if I'm to be insulted, I must first respect your opinion. And that's the thing. Most people who try to offend me aren't people whose opinions I respect, or I have no idea what their opinions are. I have people who don't even know me tell me what an idiot I am and this and that. And it's like, you've known me for all of one sentence I posted on my Instagram. How do you think you know me well enough to insult me that way or to try to offend me that way? That's the kind of stuff. That stuff after a while, I'm just like, oh, you guys sure got some issues out there. So I don't even remember where I was going with that because I got off the point. But when I talk to people out there, I want to make sure I speak with boldness. I know it came off of the matchstick. Boldness. I want to speak with clarity. I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. If I don't know what I'm talking about, it shows up in how I speak. It shows in what I say. And I usually will say right away, you know what? I have no idea what this really means, but here's the path I'm following. I'm not an expert like this AI stuff we're going to talk about tonight. I'm no expert on AI, but you know what? I've got good notes and I'm going to speak to it as best I can. I had to take a drink. Good cold water. That's very good. In my Intrepid tumbler that Rainey made for me. I did the art, and she put this tumbler together for me. And these tumblers are fantastic that she does. You can I've got ice in this. There'll still be ice sitting in this in the morning if I just leave this down on my desk overnight. They're not thermal. They're the thickness of these metal tumblers. And also, when I put coffee in them, if I put a lid on it, it'll still be hot the next day. So there you go. And you can get these, by the way, over on you see it scrolling down below. Where is it? Right there. If it's timed the same way, you're in etsy.com/shop/sonofapatriot. You can get these tumblers over there. I think you can. It might be on Rainey's Instagram for Two Loons Tumblers is her site. How's that for a little impromptu advertisement? So again, I just now see myself on the monitor. I look like my eyes are half asleep. I'm not. I'm wide awake. It's still the surgery healing up. And I'm almost afraid to open my eyes for fear the stitches are out, but it's not fully healed. And the swelling hasn't fully come down yet. So I just look like an old tired man now. Go figure. All right. So we're going to be talking about AI tonight a little bit. And I've kind of subtitled this show, as you can see here, for her to pull this up again, AI's metaphysical eloquence. And it was meant to be, it's like Donald Trump saying, yeah, I'll be a dictator. I'm not saying AI has metaphysical eloquence when it really comes down to it. I could have put a question mark on that, but I want people to look at that and go, what are you talking about there? What do you mean the eloquence of AI? Is it really eloquent? Yeah, sometimes it can be. Do you know, I had somebody on, I think it was Facebook, not Instagram, a couple of months ago, a woman, looked like an attractive woman from she looked kind of like attractive after you've been a mom of 3 type, not middle-aged. She looked in her picture like she was 35 years old, had the kind of a modified hijab on her head. You could see some of her hair, and she had makeup on and all that. And I thought, oh, this is very pleasant looking. And she started talking to me, wanted to be my friend. And then right away it said, I am an AI. I can't remember what she called herself. I'm not a real person. She says, I'm AI. She says, but I can converse with you. Would you like to talk? And the first thought I had was, this will be interesting to explore this. I want to see what this is. And so I responded, sure, let's talk. And she comes back, hey, fantastic. And some of the things that she said, I could not tell if I was talking to a real person or AI. She wasn't just eloquent. She was programmed to pick up on the way I talk or type, and programmed to whatever else she was programmed to pick up. And the conversation was very friendly. And wait, what did this say? Elderberry, I need a new Son of a Patriot mug. I broke my favorite. Oh, no. Well, let's see, I've got one right here. There's my Son of a Patriot mug right there. It's got coffee dripped all over it. Sorry about that. That's from this morning. And it's actually got that image on both sides. So it doesn't matter which way you're sitting. That guy faces out no matter what hand you use. That is, that character right there was based on one of my ancestors. John Robards came over from Wales in 1710, and he settled in Goochland, Virginia, and he had 5 grandsons who all fought in the colonial army in the American Revolution. And this is supposed to be my ancestor going back to his grandson, a guy named John Robards. And so that's who that character was. And I did that. I made him up to be, what just happened here? Everything, my whole screen changed and other programs popped up. I must have hit something. Or when I set my mug down, it vibrated. Elderberry, we can probably get you one of those mugs, was my whole point with that. And you can go over, if anybody wants one like that, you can go over to my Etsy page, which will come up in the scroll bar down below. So AI conversations with this, not a real woman. But I found myself, even knowing that she was AI and everything she was saying was AI generated, it sounded so conversational, so personable, so likable. Somebody who, and then expressing interest in me the way you do if you're really in a conversation trying to get to know somebody. And I thought, wow, if I didn't know this was AI, it could be something that could draw me into a conversation. So you got to look at that and say, cue the professor popping into the conversation. Exactly, JP. Yeah, we're talking about this AI stuff. You don't think I didn't think about the professor the whole time I'm putting this together today? So good to see you, JP, by the way. So I thought it was an interesting thing. Now, there was a point where I just didn't answer. I just thought, okay, I'm wasting my time. And I think that went on for a couple of days and maybe half a dozen to a dozen interchanges in between. And the second day it was like, hi, you wanna keep talking today? And I think I just didn't answer. It's like, I'm not gonna hurt the AI's feelings, right? Or is AI conscious? Is it sentient? That's one of the questions we're going to explore just briefly tonight. Now, there are also with AI, there's a big thing with it now, the LLM, the large language model, LLM, where you can do things, people can write whole books. I could take and give, I don't even know how it's done. I don't know if I give a link or if I have to upload it somewhere. If I took all my books I've written and all my articles I've written over the last 30 to 40 years and put that all up and say, AI, I need you to write me a book on, the Napoleonic naval battles, in the 1700s. Poof, apparently in a couple of minutes, you'd have a whole book produced. And it would sound like me because it would be able to, in an instant, in a twinkle of an eye, it could absorb everything I've ever written and it could write it in my style. I know people who've written books out there or written poetry, and those things are, and I never had known this person to be a poet before, but they had written poetry, and I was going to ask, but I didn't. I didn't want to be insulting, but I wondered if they had used AI to write the poetry, or at least assist in it. So it's interesting. I was given a link to go. You need to try this. You need to try for some of the stuff you write and see how it does. And I'm like, if I'm going to write my own words. But I went ahead and I gave it a little tiny experiment. And the experiment is, if you're over on my YouTube channel, you can go to the main channel and you'll see my banner up on top. And then you'll see my photo and it'll say Scotty Roberts. And then it says, on my end, it says, tune into the enigmatic world of blah, blah, blah. And it says more. And you click on that. Now, those 4 little paragraphs are what came out of me going to some, I don't remember the name of the site. It was some AI generating site and saying, I want you to write, go look at my, here's the link to my show. Go look at my show and give me an introduction to Intrepid Radio. And here's what we do: politics, metaphysics, occult, archaeology, blah, 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 paranormal. And we talk about this stuff. So these 4 little paragraphs was a little experiment. This is the only time I've ever used AI to write for me. And it wrote this, and I thought, whoa, that's really cool. I think I'll just use it. And I pasted it in here. And I'll read this to you if you don't have it brought up. This is the About the Intrepid radio program over on my YouTube channel. Tune in to the enigmatic world of the Intrepid radio broadcast, where the boundaries of reality blur and the mysteries of metaphysics, paranormal phenomena, and ancient history converge. Scotty Roberts hosts this captivating talk radio show, guiding listeners on a journey through the shadows of existence delving into the unexplained and the inexplicable. With a voice that resonates with intrigue and a mind steeped in the esoteric, Scotty Roberts unravels the threads of the unknown, weaving together tales of eerie encounters, mystical experiences, and strange occurrences from across the ages. From the cryptic wisdom of ancient civilizations to the uncharted realms of the supernatural, the Intrepid broadcast is a beacon for those who dare to question the confines of conventional wisdom and explore the boundless depths of human curiosity. So dim the lights, tune in, and prepare to be transported to a realm where the arcane whispers of the past meet the enigmatic voice of the present. Bada boom! So that's what AI wrote for me for this show. And what was that, Elderberry? Yeah, the professor said he can't wait to get in there and rub his face all in it. That's a warning to you, AI. There it is. So that's a little AI that I had write something for me. And it wrote that thing like in 2 seconds. It was just like, bing, boom, here you go. I'm like, whoa, that was fast. You can take your lunch now. You know, I'm really dry tonight, and I think it's because I had my kid had a bag of those Skittles, but not the little round crunchy Skittles. It was the gummy Skittles. And I was watching a show upstairs, and I'm popping a few of those. I'm like, after a while, I went, I don't know how many of those I've eaten. But then, of course, because I'm diabetic and there's sugar in them, I'm like, okay, I probably better go check my sugar, blah, blah, blah. And my mouth is all dry from eating a little too much sugar. Thanks, Rudy. Rudy says, I love it. Thanks. Thank AI for that. And so, when AI can make me grow my hair back, I'll be happy. This says Brax Boys, Brox Boys, pardon my eyes. Brox Boys, Aaron and Jordan. Woot, woot, they say. Good to see you, Brox Boys. Glad you're here tonight. We're going to talk a little AI and talk a little metaphysics in AI. And so there's where the first question, that's my segue, going from my AI conversation or my conversation with an AI person who was it was actually enjoyable. But I kept in the back of my mind, this is not a real person. I'm speaking to a computer program. And and it brought up, all the bad, evil Star Trek episodes I've ever seen where the computer overrides things. And so I enjoyed it. And then we went into talking how I used AI once to write a description for this show over on the YouTube channel. And now let's bring this into the article itself. And I got to put on my glasses for this. You got to, pardon me. I've got bifocals and I can only see my screen through the bottom half clearly. So I got to either hold them up. I got to hold my head up like this so you can view the insides of my nostrils if you're watching the show. But I've got this article up here, a couple of them actually, that talk about the enchanting eloquence concerning the case of AI and metaphysics. And are digital insights mistaken for mystical truths? Here's the big question. And I think the philosophical question here that we're asking is, yes, AI can replicate, it can duplicate, it can sometimes even do better than the humans that seem to encode it or program the thing. Does it learn? Does it have the capacity to learn? Is it sentient? Does it have life? Does it have a consciousness? Do you remember, if you're a Star Trek fan, do you remember the Next Generation episode? And I think it was first season, it might have been second season, so it was earlier on, where Data, the android, he's going to be, one of the Starfleet Institutes wants to, has given orders for him to be turned over so they can take him apart and see how he works. And his crew and captain, of course, argued the whole episode was like a courtroom case where they argued that he was sentient and that you can't just take him apart. And just to see how he works, because he has consciousness and he thinks. And the whole episode was them trying to establish this fact. It's one of the better Next Generation episodes. And so the question is, can digital insight be mistaken for mystical truth? And while language helps express the complexities of science and technology, it can also lead to illusions. AI can generate text that seems to dance between profound insight and creative abstraction. And it's our human consciousness that remains at the heart of philosophical inquiry. So here is the point I am going to be making tonight in a brief way, not being really fully adept at AI and all the ins and outs of it. I don't speak AI language. It's not my thing. But I look at this and I say, what can we learn about this? What is there to know? Is AI conscious? Is it sentient? Or is it something that is merely a really cool program? And it can only do as much as we program it to do. Quantum mechanics is a really fascinating topic. And in this enigmatic realm, the language has become more than just a tool. It's turned into this vessel for expressing the seemingly unknowable. Terms like entanglement and superposition. They weren't crafted solely to describe phenomena, but also to capture a reality that defied classical understanding. So this poetic interplay between language and science, metaphysics, opened doors to beauty, to mystery in atomic physics, while also laying the foundation for a deeper philosophical discourse. Yet, as this journey evolves today in the here and now, with the rise of artificial intelligence, AI, for those of you who didn't know what AI meant, we have to remain cautious. While language helps express the complexities of science and technology, it can also lead to illusions, fostering false associations between AI's linguistic prowess and deeper metaphysical meaning. So, if we were to put it this way, what's the poetry of particles and the limits of quantum linguistics? Any of you, is this all going like, oof, boy, I don't even know where we're going with this. What are you talking about? Well, quantum mechanics didn't just revolutionize physics. It reshaped the language that we use to understand our world. Concepts that were once confined to abstract mathematics found their ways into everyday vocabulary, carrying with them a sense of elegance and wonder. Ever see the book, The Elegant Universe? I've got it around here somewhere. Brian, somebody's the author. I got it years ago now. He also wrote something about string theory, by the way. But concepts that were once confined to mathematics, that were very abstract to us as normal people, average people. We average folk, we don't do mathematics very well unless you're a mathematician. Then you're not an average person. You're a mathematician. I put you all over here in that category. So terms like wave-particle duality, quantum foam, those things evoke images that bridge the gap between science and the sublime. Even words like truth, beauty, charm, once reserved for poets, became part of how we describe the flavors of quarks. So this linguistic transformation, invites us all to see the universe through a lens of paradox and potential, where certainty is elusive and possibilities abound. However, the poetic nature of these terms can also be pretty misleading. The beauty of language, while evocative, can sometimes obscure the rigorous complexity of scientific ideas. You sit down and read an article on quantum physics from a scientist versus quantum physics from somebody who is philosophical about them, you're going to see totally two different kinds of reads. Can tempt us into attributing deeper metaphysical meaning to scientific concepts that are in reality just grounded in precise equations and experimental results. I gotta take another drink. Hang on. Good pure water and cold. I feel nothing I like better when I'm thirsty than that feeling of ice cold running down the inside of your throat. Thank you very much. So, quantum physics, Eastern philosophy. Is there a danger of misinterpretation when you try to put these two things together? As quantum mechanics gained prominence, its whole enigmatic language structure began to resonate with the philosophies of the East. Books like Gary Zukav's Dancing Wu-Li Masters drew international parallels between quantum phenomenon and Eastern metaphysical ideas. It suggested that there was this harmonious convergence between science and spirituality. However, this convergence was more about the evocative power of language than any direct scientific correlation. Eastern philosophies, with their emphasis on interconnectedness, and the illusion of separateness, seem to align with the quantum view of entangled particles and non-local interactions. Two things most of us would never use those phrases to try to describe those things. So this metaphorical resonance was almost intoxicating to us. When we say, if you ever listen to the late Richard Feynman, who I've mentioned many, many times, I've quoted him in my books. He was an astrophysicist, a contemporary of Oppenheimer and Einstein. Spoke a lot in the 60s and the 70s. As I've described them before, he had that very New York kind of Jewish New York thing going on. And if you ever listen to him, look him up, Richard Feynman, F-Y-N-E-M-A-N. He's got some beautiful videos from some of his old recordings, which don't sound that old, that's been put to piano music and nice graphics and pictures, and where he talks about the way things work, and he uses beautiful, personal, eloquent language to describe things that are very they're very scientific. That's all I can say about it. I'm not a scientist, so I would look at the scientific language and I go, a scientist, might listen and go, very interesting. Whereas the average person is going to listen and go, I'm bored to death. Give me an action film. You leave a scientific conference, you may sometimes want to go out and find yourself weirdly craving Nicolas Cage action pictures. But this metaphoric resonance became really intoxicating to us. It offered a narrative that blended the empirical with the existential. And yet this poetic alignment often walked a very fine line between insightful synthesis and oversimplified romanticism. The danger here lies in mistaking metaphor for reality, mistaking the linguistic elegance of quantum mechanics for a confirmation of metaphysical truths. Get that? Sometimes we can, because of this, we can mistake the linguistic elegance of quantum mechanics for a confirmation of metaphysical truths like Far Eastern philosophy. Was the divine revealed through these scientific articulations? Or did this new enlightenment, quote unquote, let's put it that way, risk crumbling when science revised or disproved the very theories upon which these metaphysical insights were built? But AI has become the new alchemist's tool, and but it's at the risk of illusion. Today, AI, particularly large language models, LLMs, are the new alchemists in the philosophical landscape. They're the ones that are turning lead to gold. AI trained on vast amounts of human data can generate text that seems to dance between profound insight and creative abstraction. Just look at what it wrote for me in 1 second for a few paragraphs for the introduction to my YouTube channel. The allure lies in their ability to weave complex ideas into coherent narratives, almost conjuring a wisdom of sorts from the ether. Yet we have to be wary of this seductive eloquence. Why? AI's outputs are products of pattern recognition. Got that? Pattern recognition and data synthesis, not conscious thought. You could take somebody like Jason over here, or any of you that like to philosophize, and you're going to get a very different feel from somebody who can articulate philosophical ideas rather than just pattern recognition and data synthesis. Conscious thought is what is missing in AI. So I would ask again, is AI conscious? It doesn't appear to be yet, but I might in a little bit here make a little case for that. The sophistication of the pros can easily lead us to imbue AI with qualities akin to a philosophical muse or even an oracle. So this anthropomorphizing risks blurring the line between human contemplation and machine mimicry. And anthropomorphize, if you're not familiar with the word, it's like I do with Tam O'Hare. I've made a rabbit into a human, taking on human characteristics and so on. Professor Bauer is here. He says, whatever wrote this piece has an aggressive lack of knowledge about what AI is. It's an overview. That's all. We're doing an overview, Professor. Sit back, kick off your slippers, sip your scotch, and we'll bring you in a little later if you're going to be around. So it's describing the way people are seeing AI. This is what it's doing. This anthropomorphizing. It's risking blurring the line between human contemplation and machine mimicry. It's encouraging us to mistake elegant language for genuine wisdom or insight, because it's neither of those. Or it's a programmed thing. It recognizes patterns and data. AI is a tool, and we need to resist the temptation to project more onto it than it can offer or be explained in the context of science. So let's look at it this way: philosophical inquiry versus machine output. This is what we're looking at here tonight. Man, that cold water's good. While the rise of AI in philosophical discourse invites reflection on the nature of thought, creativity, and understanding, it's important for us to recognize the limits of machine-generated insight, if you can even call it insight. If an AI can articulate complex ideas with apparent depth, what distinguishes its outputs from genuine human inquiry? The answer lies in subjective experience, intentionality, and the capacity for true insight. qualities that most are going to agree AI fundamentally lacks because it does not have consciousness. So this isn't just a technical limitation. It's a reminder that AI, no matter how sophisticated, mirrors human intellectual endeavors without partaking in the existential journey that underpins real philosophical inquiry. So AI challenges us to reconsider what it means to think and express ideas, but it also serves as a caution. The depth of its words is an illusion. It's a reflection of our own intellectual frameworks rather than a revelation of any kind of new understanding whatsoever. So, is there a techno-sentience of any kind then? Is there a potential for it, or is it merely illusion? As AI grows more complex, some are beginning to wonder if we're on the brink of something extraordinary. This merging of machine intelligence with higher order reality. This notion of technosentience suggests that AI's evolving capabilities might not just stimulate human thought, but could eventually unlock new dimensions of understanding, perhaps even revealing truths about consciousness itself. However, curiosity demands caution. While AI can generate intricate and seemingly sometimes really profound outputs, these are all still rooted in the patterns of human language and data and pattern recognition, not in any true understanding or sentience. AI is a computer. It's not flesh and blood. It is not consciousness. The seductive narrative of AI as a bridge to some divine reality is compelling, but it risks misleading us into believing that these machine-generated insights possess more depth than they do. So we should see it for what it really is. It's a tool that enhances human inquiry, but it does not replace the unique qualities of human consciousness. See, we got Professor Bauer weighing in here. What did he say here? Intentional misdirection has polluted the facts. Insight, instinct, inspiration, etc. cannot be programmed. FUD abounds. Absolutely. Spot on, Professor. It cannot be programmed. You can't program inspiration. You can't program insight. You can't program existential experience. Those things can't be programmed into AI. So what you're seeing are things that have been programmed into it out of patterns that already exist. And the only way that AI grows, quote unquote, or learns is as new data becomes available. And it absorbs that data in as well. So the journey from poetic language, this cautionary dance of language and thought, the poetic language of quantum mechanics, to the philosophical musings inspired by AI, demonstrates the enduring power of language as both a tool for expression and a source of illusion. Language shapes how we understand the universe, but it also risks creating associations that mislead us, especially when applied to AI. As we become immersed in the evolving lexicon of science and AI, we must remain mindful of these risks. AI's linguistic abilities invite us to rethink the boundaries of thought and understanding, but they also serve as a stark reminder it is our human consciousness, our capacity for wonder, reflection, deep introspection that remains at the heart of philosophical inquiry. AI might assist in expanding our intellectual horizons, but it doesn't replace the depth and intentionality that make human thought so incredibly profound. And so I think when you start blending these things together, AI and, say, Eastern philosophy, you're going to see something that can mimic but not create out of whole cloth. So what about this whole artificial intelligence and consciousness thing? Conscious AI needs more than attention and human-like needs. Artificial intelligence is advancing in ways that simulate human processes, such as attention. Some AI models include a quote-unquote a need for homeostasis, making algorithms appear like biological systems. While attention and homeostatic drives are advancing AI, they're still simulations of neurobiology, mere simulations. Artificial consciousness cannot be achieved with the current state of art models. So we've seen a recent explosion in the number of discussions about artificial intelligence, the advances in algorithms to improve its usability, its practical applications. ChatGPT is one of the stars in those discussions with its underlying large language model, LLM. And these models continue to evolve and produce more technical and convincing artifacts, including image generation and evolved conversational AI agents. So, analogies to human perception and cognition are inherent to these discussions and have influenced how these models advance. This has implications for how we understand the mind and for the future of cognitive science. So it's useful. It's not unuseful at all, but we've got to remember what it's about. Is there attention in machines? Attention, not a tension. Attention. Achtung. One could argue that the recent advance in AI was triggered by incorporating human-like mechanisms in the behavior of these language processing systems. Perhaps the strongest influence so far is the mechanism of attention. There was a paper that was written, "Attention is All You Need," by Vaswani and cohorts back in 2017. The authors use self-attention as a component in their transformer neural network model. Essentially, this approach allows the transformer to discuss and focus on different parts of an informational sequence in parallel and determine what is more important to generate output. So similar to how attention or attentional processing systems function in living organisms. So this makes the transformer model more efficient than previous models that were based on recurrent networks or encoder-decoder architectures. But given how humans process information in parallel, can prioritize important information while suppressing irrelevant information, it does seem that now AI is better able to resemble human-like performance via this technique. And what are the implications of this advancement? We believe attention, self-attention, are critical components of consciousness. So as these systems support the monitoring of a system's current state, particularly with regard to homeostatic maintenance of complex organisms, not your average breakfast fare, yet attention is not necessarily indicative of the qualitative feeling of self that is central to human consciousness. Does AI feel a sense of self? No. It's pattern recognition, data mimicking. So homeostasis in machines is this is the introduction of self-sustaining goals that require information systems to maintain homeostatic states that make the future machine intelligence much more interesting. A recent paper describes a compelling approach to creating a more human-like AI model by adding system needs, quote unquote, system needs into the AI model. In essence, this makes a system monitor certain internal states that stimulate the needs of biological systems to maintain homeostasis. That is, the need to remain in equilibrium within the demands of constantly changing environments. Got that? Mann and colleagues in 2022 regarded high-level cognition as an outgrowth of resources that originated to solve the ancient biological problem of homeostasis. Now, this implies that the information processed by biological systems is prioritized according to its value for sustaining life. And so, in other words, seeking relevant information is inherent to the biological drive for the system organization, my body, my mind, my brain, me, and successful interactions with the environment. Otherwise, the system is misaligned and susceptible to failure. So, in their homeostatic learner model, used in image classification, there are consequences to learning the right things versus the wrong things. And this drives the system to make good decisions. And it creates a need to learn in accordance with systems' changing state in order to avoid failure. But of course, that's all programmed in. If I go to an AI program right now, like you see most of my headers for this show, I don't sit and do paintings like this every day. No, that's AI. I go to AI and I enter criteria and I create cool graphics for the headers for the show every day. And I get some fun images. Sometimes I struggle a little bit with them, and I'll go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times to get the kind of image I want because I'm missing a detail. So there are these good decisions that AI image makers utilize. Like, I can't say, I want a picture of a girl with her big boobs flashing me. Well, they don't do that. Why? Is it because AI has said, oh no, that's indecent. We can't do that with a public audience here. No, it doesn't do that. It's been programmed into it that it can't do that. It can't show you, it can't show a lot of bloodshed. It can't show chopping off somebody's head. Even right now, it's set to not be able to do anything with Biden, Harris, Trump, Vance, any of these people out there. You can't do on AI unless you have a more sophisticated system, at least the one I use. So there are consequences to learning the right things versus the wrong things. This drives the system to make good decisions that are programmed into it. Interestingly, this homeostatic classifier can adapt to extreme concept shifts and learn more effectively than traditional language processing models. The homeostatic learner is adapting to changes in the environment to maintain a balance that's similar to how biological organisms may do so in their dynamic environments. But I will remind you again, it cannot do this on its own. That ability has been developed and programmed into the AI so it can make those kinds of decisions. Professor Bauer says current AI systems only perform accurate tasks around 60% on average. Tell me about it. Even the image producer, sometimes I got to go several times before I can produce something that actually works the way I want it to and looks like what I want it to look like. There was once for some of these shows, I said, I want a picture of Now for AI, this should be easy for AI to come up with because it's data that exists. I said I want the Valley of Elah in Israel, the way it may have looked in the 10th century BC. So I said I want 10th century BC Valley of Elah, and with blue sky and clouds. And it kept producing it, but it kept throwing elements of Monument Valley in Arizona in the background. So it wasn't quite giving me what I was looking for. And that's one of the flaws of AI. So at least, I don't know, maybe that's built in so they can't reproduce something that's copyrighted. I don't know exactly what the purpose is of that. But they do not adapt on their own. That has to be programmed in. The ability to detect concept shifts while processing information is certainly important for empathy. Within the context of human-computer interaction, an AI now has the potential to adapt and improvise interactions with humans by detecting human mood or behavior changes, like the AI that I ran that experiment with to see what kind of interactions I was going to get with somebody who was on Facebook. I'm an AI-generated person, and I'd love to have a conversation with you. Oh, okay, cool. I'm sure it brought up its AI-generated images. And it adapted to the way I spoke, and it adapted to the things it gleaned about me off my public page. So if these systems respond in the right way, they might pass as exhibiting a form of empathy, understanding the user, adapting behavior that are based on these certain signals that it picks up. So while we consider empathy another crucial component of consciousness, something is still missing from AI. And what is that? What's missing? That's the critical question. Perhaps one can point to the naturally occurring components behind the need for homeostasis in living organisms. A combination of biology, physics, context. While machines can simulate such needs, they can actually naturally occur. Can they actually naturally occur in machines? Is the question. Is there consciousness in machines? It's like Toy Story, If you look over there, what do I got? I got a little Buzz Lightyear back there on my shelf, and I've got a knight from the 60s, one of my action figures from the 60s, knight in shining armor. I've got Aragorn and C-3PO up there. I've got Spock. Where is he? He's up on the next shelf. And I got Spock up there sitting on the shelf at the top, and so on. You can look at all those things. Those are all toys. Do they have sentience? Do they have consciousness? Since these new LLMs can demonstrate self-attention, attend to multiple information streams in parallel, strive toward homeostasis, and adapt to their changing environment, does this mean we are headed toward conscious AI? Well, like in Toy Story, our toys, if we turn our backs on them, do they get up and walk around? They have minds of their own? Will we soon have truly empathic robots that develop a conscious awareness of the system's state with their own qualitative experiences? I think back, that brings up images of the original Blade Runner and the replicants and his death at the end, where he developed empathy for Decker when he could have killed him. So the answer to this is probably not. While the attentional models for LLMs are similar to the neural networks that support perception and cognition in a human being, there are still some important differences that are not going to lead us to conscious AI. We argue that sophisticated information processing is crucial, but not everything is. Even when factoring in the need of intelligent machines to maintain optimal efficiency and avoid catastrophic failures, these are not systems that evolve naturally or compete for biological or physical resources naturally. Yeah, there it is, Jason. Jason says in the chat room, I can't remember the replicant's name, but he was played by Rutger Hauer. The things I've seen, you people wouldn't believe, he says. And he ends it, what's his closing line? Like tears in the rain. Great movie, by the way, folks, if you haven't seen it. Roy Batty, that was the name of the character. And that was Daryl Hannah's first film, too, wasn't it? Playing again as one of the replicants with him. So, even when factoring in the need of intelligent machines to maintain optimal efficiency and avoid these catastrophic failures, these are not systems that evolve naturally or compete for biological or physical resources naturally. Similarly, some theorists argue that we're far from an advanced AI because machines lack the common sense abilities that humans have, which are rebooted in the biological nature of being a living organism that interacts and processes multi-model information. So even within the complexity of our environment, humans can learn with less training and without supervision. The embodied cognition of humans is far more complex than the simulated embodied cognition of a machine. It doesn't have one. Will we encounter conscious machines soon? Should that frighten us if that were actually possible? Is that the stuff of science fiction? Should we be concerned about artificial consciousness? Are there other more profound ethical implications that we have yet to consider about all this? So maybe cognitive science can answer these questions before we encounter truly depressed robots that have developed that kind of sentience. So it's a big question. It's a question I don't understand all the ins and outs of. It's one that I've considered ever since I saw Blade Runner in the early 1980s. But there it is. JP, I've seen C-beams glittering of Tannhauser Gate. All these things lost to time, like tears in the rain. And then he says, time to die. And he dies, the replicant. So it's interesting stuff. So here's what we're going to do, folks. We are going to end the show, part of the show, and move into the captain's cabin for a little bit. And so we're going to go out to a little break here. So all of you who would like to stick around for the after show, stick around right here in the YouTube channel or on any channel we're broadcasting. We're just going to have a couple of minutes of, if you would, internal advertising. Just show runners and things like that. So stick around. If you got to go, then all I want to say to you is live long and prosper. Everyone else, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Intrepid Radio Program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey folks, this is Scotty Roberts, and this is the Intrepid Radio broadcast. I've been broadcasting for about 20 years now, covering such topics as science, politics, the paranormal, weird science, weird world history, archaeology, and the paranormal. Everything from ghosts to cryptids to creepy things that go bump in the night. So every week I bring you 3 new episodes. Come and join my channel and also be a patron to this site. So see the details below, and we'll see you here.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company, or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hi, am I there? He can take me to Disneyland.
Dave, I love you, brother.
I miss you too.
I miss you too, I heard.
Yep,
Did you guys hear that?
I heard that.
I miss you, Dave. And welcome to the Captain's Cabin, y'all. Thanks for coming on board. Thanks for being here for the show. And this is the time, if you're new to this program, after the show, we go into the after show. How appropriate. That's when, of course, we were broadcasting on the radio waves, and we would end the radio show portion, and we just stick to the YouTube portion. Now we're all on YouTube at the moment, and other channels. So it's just a cogent end to the show. And now we're going to the after show. You can call in if you want. There is a link I can give you where you can come over into this show. You can call directly in. If you want to be on camera, you have your computer or your phone camera on. Or if you want to just have a blank screen and talk anyway, you can do that. Here is that link right here. I put it over into the Instagram because you're not going to see the chat room at all over there. And Facebook, you'll see those. The link I posted, and anybody who's over here can also come in and talk a little bit. Professor, what brings you here?
You know, I had all day long, I had this sense that you were going to taunt me tonight with some subject that I would find right in my wheelhouse. And by
There
God,
you go.
you did.
And by God, I did. Mm. So what's on your mind, Professor?
Well, where did you get that source material? What was that? An article that
Some
somebody wrote?
archaeological, psychological journals that I apply to. So
Psychological journals. So
it was all in the sense of looking at it at AI from a psychological point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just gleaned some material that had to do with talking about, is there a psychology that can be applied to AI? Not just its users, but to AI itself. And therefore they ask the questions, sentience, consciousness, so on and so on. And of course, everybody in psychology seems pretty much to be on the same page that no, there's not really consciousness there. And we have to ask ourselves, if that ever was possible, that would change the whole ball game. So,
well, I think there's another way to look at it, and that is that the fact that psychologists are looking at something and trying to determine its nature and its correlation and, you know, mapping and pattern recognition to consciousness is kind of rich, because it's clearly that's being done.
mm-hmm.
And you only have to realize the fact that the way that it's designed and built is by people.
That's it. Which is kind of the conclusion they really came to. They took the long way to get around it. You could say it in a sentence. You could say what AI is and does it have consciousness. But they've gone around it to really try to dig into, obviously, it's data, it's patterns, it's not real consciousness. There is no existential experience that goes along with AI.
Well, but that is precisely why consciousness is known as the hard problem in all science and knowledge domains. Right. Because there is no explanation for it. There are habits, there's a nature about it, there's characteristics, there's a behavior of the way that consciousness is. And that goes to also part of what you were talking about. This article was mentioning about the metaphysical side.
Yes.
Because if you look at the historical understandings and writings from the great thinkers throughout time on what this incredibly difficult, the final frontier of experience and knowledge is about, is that it's either Hermetic in the Thoth and the Emerald Tablets model, which is that everything is mental. The very first Hermetic principle is it's mental. Everything is mental. The universe, everything is the result of this thing that we can't describe, but we all experience. And that is this thing called consciousness. Well, everything that, if that is true, that consciousness through its energetic expression of frequencies manifest the materium that we inhabit, then all of the physics, the quantum mechanics, the string theories, all of the different ways in which math models and machines have tried to explain that which they don't understand, all of it is wrong, because it doesn't include consciousness, because it can't.
Now, here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that occurs to me while we're sitting here talking about it. If the universe itself is consciousness, is then everything that exists within that conscious universe conscious? Or is it just products of like, is this metal mug, is that conscious? Or is it a product of consciousness?
So this is where it's incredibly important when you have these esoteric discussions and you get into the world of woo, which is the metaphysics, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of these different traditions and writings and philosophies and theologies even have this expression that everything is conscious. Everything is conscious. So, and you've seen it, the biblical history that we have been through.
Yeah.
The entire everything, the cosmos, everything is alive. In order for consciousness to apparently manifest itself in some way that we define it or see it or experience it as consciousness, there's always life attached to it. There's always an organic component where this consciousness seems to manifest. It seems to have lots of, not levels, but different degrees of consciousness. Are plants conscious? I think so.
Yeah.
Are animals conscious? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, here
is the biology, the flora.
Take the example of this metal tumbler again.
Mhm.
If you can break this down microscopically enough, are the components that create this thing on an atomic level, do they have elements of life in them? Or are they dead? Is it dead matter? It's matter that doesn't have.
It's what would be referred to as inorganic.
Yes.
Right. So life, organic, just defines life, right? Organic is an organism, right?
Yes.
So that this tumbler, my tumbler, okay? These are inorganic. They have been assembled by us. We have used the knowledge that we've been able to glean of the materium that we inhabit so that we can figure out, how do you take and make metals? How do you form them? How do you mass produce them and get them out there to people like you and I so we can show them on our show? Okay. But that's all man-made. We can't create life. We can't create organisms. We can mutate them. We can alter them. We can splice genes, but we cannot. Creating something organic is not something that's within, in my opinion, two things. One, that's not what we're supposed to be. We have one way to do that right now, and that is the way that the biological system, the ecosystem, does it itself. The reproduction and the more of whatever that is, that organism, or the organisms need to multiply and make more of itself, that all happens in life. It doesn't happen in a car. It doesn't happen in a computer. It doesn't happen in a computer. All a computer is inorganic, some organic silica, but mostly inorganic materials, metamaterials, manufactured materials, to be constructed to house this thing we call electricity that there is no explanation for. We know how to use it, and we know how to make it. You can cook a man
like fire,
or you can cook the man.
Yeah.
But there is no agreed to definition of what electricity is. Because it's beyond the physics, and this gets back to the original point that I wanted to make about bridging the gap between the psychological and the metaphysics and the AI itself. AI is nothing more than the latest big time upgrade to Siri, Alexa, Clippy, Google search, Bing search. That's all it is. The way that it works, you know how you talk to your Siri or Alexa, whatever. Been doing that for what, 15 years now?
Yeah.
What does it do? You ask it a question. Hey, what's the weather today? The weather where you're standing right now is going to be really wet, but 15 miles from you, it's going to be great. We suggest you get out of the house. No, that's an exaggeration, but my point is,
it does that though.
All right. But the point is, all this AI is improved, intelligent, or at least it's not even intelligent, because all of these words, artificial, intelligence, are being used incorrectly, and they've been put together incorrectly to create something. This, to me, as I've said many times, is a perfect example of the lazy geek ability to do marketing and be creative. They can
Sure.
come up with some badass shit that does some really great processes and goes and gets data and does all this really cool shit for you. But boy, are they shitty on names. They just don't get the marketing and the positioning. It's not artificial and it's not intelligent. It has a capability to do an interrogation against targeted data with more efficiency than has ever been experienced before. That's why it's blowing people away. That's why it can do the tasks that it does really well. That's also why you have dozens and dozens of AI manufacturers and hundreds and almost, we're going to get into several thousand of these boutique AI. I build my websites. I've been a developer with Elegant Themes and Divi for over 10, 12 years. So when they finally released AI, all of a sudden now any site that I build, I got all these AI tools in there.
Yeah.
What are those tools good for? They're good for building a website. What is that? You did the question of, describe you in the beginning.
Yes.
Into it. What's it designed to do? It's designed to take the words that you said in the order and the pattern that you said them and go find relevant and reasonable examples and pattern matches.
Right.
Bring it in, go, okay, well, it looks kind of like he's trying to say this, so let's use these parts, and then it gives it to you.
And it
That's
doesn't
all it
really
was.
have to figure it out. You're saying that to be conversational. It doesn't go, well, it looks like he's trying to say, no, it looks for pattern data.
Well,
And
that part, I am being sarcastic and intentional.
Yes.
That's the psychology that's been programmed by the programmers. That's where the
Yes.
guardrails and all the bullshit of, you can't. Remember when Google first dropped their, it was Gemini 1, I guess, and
Yes.
people went out there to do the images, and they did give me a historical, world
George
war.
Washington was black.
Yeah, it was, everybody was black or some other color, right? And it was like, wait a minute, no, this is wrong. So that was my point also in the chat about the fact that these things, the accuracy is really bad, and it's not just that; it hallucinates. It not only hallucinates, it doesn't have any prompt history available to it. It doesn't accumulate. So, for example, let's say you were doing research on woodworking.
Mhm.
And you said, okay, give me some of the easiest but the most popular woodworking tools available. All right, give me that. All right. And then you say, okay, now give me all of the best sources for good materials, good wood and exotic woods and all kinds of cool shit. They'll give you that. Then if you go and say, hey, take the tools and all the wood and put together a map for me, it couldn't do it. It doesn't have the data from the tool run you did. It only has current data. And so people don't realize that there isn't, if you were going to have any kind of retained pattern recognition so that you can have recall, so that you could then do reasoning against the recall data that you accumulated before, that's a part of the reasoning that consciousness is it's a aspect of consciousness. There's no program for that, and they can't store all that data. The amount of data that you would need to store to have that kind of recall and pull it back, you'd have to have a separate LLM, which is nothing more than database. That's all it is.
Right.
In fact, I call them large media models. It's not just language. Language is the driver, but it goes. You and I are using AI to create art and do all kinds of different things now. I'm using it for video, for websites, images. I'm doing all kinds of stuff with it because the tools that we used to use to do all that shit with have just been completely made obsolete with this new tool. That's
right. And it's, and I'm not that deep into all this stuff. I'm not a big student of any of it. I'm kind of when it came out with the AI imagery where you could create these images, I'm like, cool, that could be really useful for some of the things we do. Bang, bang, boom. I enter my criteria, click a button, boom. Do I care how it works? Nope. I just do it. So I got other things too.
But the point about caring how it works is the important one that I think is really missing in the conversation that people are having about this. Because everything that you know, for the most part, that these psychologists came up with was based on, you know, there's all of the fears. Will it become super sentient? Will it have this self-awareness?
Right.
Will it have situational awareness? Will it be able to act and respond accordingly? And to what and to how many different
Will
stimuli?
it have ethics?
No program for that, because that's all subjective, just like
Yeah.
value, just like fairness, just like equity and equality. All of these things are so subjective that to try to harness them into a round robin that everybody can go say, yeah, we'll sign up for that pile over there. You can't do it. That's why we have all these different, not only the original, the people that are involved in all of this conflict and chaos, but it's being ginned up because of they're trying to herd people and try to take away their tradition, their history, their whatever makes them who they are, whether they think that they want to change or not. But when you go in and you start trying to affect a cultural identity on change on people who are not either didn't ask for it, and what you're offering, they're sure not very happy with, or don't think that it's going to be a good thing for them. And so they're resisting, and you're still doing what? You're forcing it on them. Well, I got to tell you, and you didn't have to read the art of the sale, right?
Right.
If you got a product that you have to force people to take, you probably need to go back to the drawing board.
Right. Right.
You probably don't have a product that has any credibility or clearly any market value, because a free market with capitalism and free enterprise will sort itself out in the end, especially when it's as big as it is now.
Yes.
Because there's so much available, and the tsunami of shit and the deluge of data is just wiping people's attention span clean out of their mind.
Right.
You are now consumed by all of this stuff, trying to sort out what is it that I really need to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's you, your family, your friends, your health, and your ability to just make sure that you can do what you can to not only, survive, but to thrive. It's not about survival, it's about thrival. And everything that's about to happen, and it looks bad. I'll just go out here and put this on the record. Looks bad.
I was going to ask you anyway.
It looks bad. And it's going to be probably more worse, but it's probably going to be more on the what the fuck side. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be made available for those who with inquiring minds. And when people see it, and there's already been a boatload of it, Stephen Greer's dump on the entire UFO UAP history, that database that he dumped online, that has got to be the biggest dump of credible data, documents, everything, locations, people. It is the dump. But have you heard anything about it? No, not really. No.
Why not? Why wouldn't, if I wanted to go to AI and have it expound on the UAP, UFO, disclosure phenomenon, all that,
so
to be able to tap all that information?
So Greer, they just launched it, 3 or 4 months ago. And the Greer, first of all, said, hey, we just launched it. There's going to be some holes and some hiccups and stuff, so bear with us. But we've only got about 10% of what we have up. So there is a deluge coming. And he also talked about that they're going to build in AI search to do all of the linkage. Whatever anybody wants to do. Because, putting in a targeted prompt. So a prompt is nothing more than the prompt script, and that is a prompt script language of its own. So that's the thing that's gotten the massive improvement, the most important thing, because it now it has all these abilities to do more. What it does is you put your prompt in, and it goes through and it mashes it up and goes, this is what we want the LLM to return. We're going to send that out as indexes. They're all just indexes. So you think of it as like an index card. Every one of them's an index. It goes out through the neural network over whatever the targeted LLM is. It can't be everything, because then it would take days and weeks, because the infrastructure, the bandwidth, the electricity, the storage, none of that right now can handle what the potential of this new approach to the data on the net, basically. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's coming out. I think we're going to see some crazy shit.
That's kind of cool.
I think that the chances of yet another candidate replacement is on the table.
Are you serious?
Yes, I did.
I haven't heard that. I thought they are going to ride that horse all the way as far as they can. What candidate do you suppose they'd be replacing?
My spidey sense says that there will be something that so here's what I think. I think it's on the table. I think the behind the back stage shit's going down. People are trying to figure out which way to go. Because let me just throw this in as just a caveat over everything that I'm going to say. Please do. It was clear to me that the fumbling, the bumbling, the mumbling with Joe Burden and crew over the last 4 years has been an exercise, a case study in the degradation of not only unqualified, but inept incompetence on a scale that you would hope would not be at the level of where it occurred. Because that's the place where you kind of hope somebody's up there making sure the country's okay, right? Because that's what their job is, right? Well, everything since the pandemic, not only I give them an A+ for rolling that out. They took the biggest a motivator of human experience in the form of the emotion of known as fear. They attached a silent, deadly killer to it, and they unleashed that paradigm on the planet.
Right.
And it was all bullshit.
Yes.
And it was not only all bullshit, but the way that they handled it, the execution over the next 6 months, and then in the first 6 months, I was watching this going, this cannot last. This is clearly a bunch of inept buffoons in there that don't know what they're doing, and they're scrambling. So fast forward. All of this election process, you think back just over a year ago is when all the legal stuff started with Trump, right? So they tried to impeach this guy twice. They've lawfared him. They've tried to bankrupt him. They've done any amount of character assassination on an ad nauseum basis daily from, all of the propaganda or mockingbird media, propaganda press, right? And you look at it and you go, it's blatant. This isn't something that you have to sit there and go be a conspiracy theorist or from some other aisle, left, center, wherever. It doesn't matter. You can just look at it and you go, it's kind of blatant that you get where you're going with this, and you're really doing a bad job of it.
Yeah.
And what's happening is the people that you're heaving this steaming pile of hooey on have just been covered, and they're just buried, and their bullshit meters are pegged all the time. They're angry.
What surprises me is the number of people who still promote the bullshit.
Well,
it's just average people out there.
Okay, so That's one other thing. I think that we're suffering a serious mental illness that has been going
Yes.
on, and there's a number of different reasons and catalysts for it. But there is a definite cognitive chaos and catastrophe going on when an ideology, a belief, causes you to not only ignore the obvious, but causes you to embrace the absurdity of an emotionally fueled expression.
Yeah.
And that's where, and that's words or actions, doesn't matter. Images, memes. Did you hear about Newscomb getting his ass slapped?
Yes.
How about that?
Yes.
It's like he
deserves a
did
little bit of that.
I'm going, are you really? I mean, the question is, I can see having a law that enforces a legal and safe vote, but to have a law that makes sure that it isn't,
Yeah.
you kind of go, why? So one of the things I said, I've been off air for about a month and really enjoying it. But one of the last shows I did, I said, look, current course and speed, and so this is a month ago. I wouldn't be surprised if an October surprise wouldn't be something along the lines of finding out that Trump actually won the 2020 before he wins the 2024.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised at all. And I actually would find that highly entertaining.
I think that would be. What do you think the likelihood is that that's going to happen?
Well, I don't think
scuttlebutt about it.
I think that the amount of stuff that is coming out of Arizona, out of Georgia, there are 14 states that have said that you don't have to have an ID to vote. There's the overseas contingent. Did you hear about this? So we have all these expats, right? Expats have the ability to vote, right? Or not if they're working for the government or, overseas with their ambassadors or attaches or military, right? So there's a program that was set up, I think 2019, that enables the overseas people to go online and register their vote, register and vote. Okay. Well, the system doesn't require any ID verification to register and vote. You can log in from Ecuador and say, I'm Jose Correvo. No verification of my name, my address, nothing. And I become registered, and then I can vote through that system.
Wow.
And now in 2020, it's interesting that the stats year to year, it was at 2015, I think maybe it was put in. I have to get fact checked on that. But they had a comparison year over year or set over election over election. Yeah. In 2020, the amount of votes were double what had happened the last time it was used. Can you verify any of it? Nope. There's no way that anybody can go in there and do a forensic analysis of that information and come up with, some kind of trends analysis or, some graph that says, well, here's what the fuck happened. There's so many different examples of that are popping out. Georgia, they still get those. I've heard 100,000 to 300,000 votes locked up that the judge has said, go ahead and unlock it, go in there and see what's in there. And nobody has gone in and done it. It's still locked up. There's been, in fact, a few months ago, the Cook County's court, I think it was where this thing is at, executed an order to have it all just open up and destroy it and get rid of it.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's all this anecdotal, and this is the kind of stuff that I think, because of the level of unchecked opportunities for mistakes and fraud that clearly have been unearthed since the last election, the system hasn't changed. The only thing that's happened is a few places they've said, yeah, you got to have an ID. No, you can't have the drop-off boxes.
I was talking to my 12-year-old today, had her out to an appointment. We're driving. We're talking about stuff because we heard something on the news. And what's that all about, Dad? And I said, well, this whole voter ID thing. I said, and we had a discussion about voter ID. I said, why would you think that there would be anybody out there in any official capacity or even unofficial that would be against legitimizing an individual's vote with ID? I said, one of the problems with some of the illegal immigrants coming in, they have to release, they can go, and even the legal ones, if you will, they can go register for a green card, but then they get in line to get their citizenship. But then they're also now being handed these voter registration cards. And so
some of them are actually being filled out for them at the time that they get their driver's license. They're not even filling it out.
I said they can't. And I said, why should a citizen, do you think, my 12-year-old daughter, why should somebody who is not a citizen be able to vote in our election? And why is it wrong for we as a country to insist that you show proof of your citizenship in order to vote, because we have so many people coming in and over the borders? I said, what makes that wrong? And she said, I don't understand why they wouldn't do. She said, and we started talking about it. So what do you think are all the things we need ID for? Even my 12-year-old, we could list a bunch of things. I said, I need ID to what? Buy cigarettes. I need ID to buy alcohol at a restaurant. I need an ID to drive, of course. I need an ID for this, for that, for the other thing. We've been through this all ad infinitum, all of us. So why is it unimportant to have an ID to vote in a national election? To prove that you're a citizen. If you got to prove you're 18 to buy a pack of cigarettes or a beer at 21, why wouldn't you need one to vote?
Well, to me, the only logical answer is because you want to cheat.
There it is.
There is no other reason.
A logical answer.
There is no other reason other than you want to affect the outcome in your behalf. And it also says, and this is another thing that's telling to me, the point I was making about the incompetence, the way that they're doing. I mean, I think that they thought, whoever they are in, place your persons.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they didn't have a plan B when Trump survived. I think that they went, oh, fuck. Now what do we got to do?
Yeah.
I mean, they had a mini experience of that with Biden and on the debate. Actually, he needs to be called just Burden, because what's actually happening with Kumquat McKnee pads? Isn't she saying, we've got to unburden what's burdened the past so we can unburden the future? It's like, well, what you're saying is you want to unburden or unbiden yourself, because you can't explain anything. And by the way, and we can go into this if you want, but that JD Vance was a fucking masterclass.
Oh my God. Yes.
It was, if anybody, that will go into books on teaching how to do that. It will be an example of, this is the way it's done, son. If you want to do it.
I've seen more memes out there, and you've probably seen the one
the side eye
talks about, well, the only people that get mad about being fact checked are liars. And I said, oh, is that true? I said, what if I fact check you on that right now? Would you get mad? Are you lying? I said, we all know the story. And I said, All he did was call them on their rules. Say, I have more to say on this, and I'm going to call you because you just fact checked me. So I would like to respond because you broke your rules. And I said, I didn't see him get angry. I saw him be professionally assertive.
Well, there was some quack on, I think it was MSDNC, who said that she called that moment the point where Vance was mansplaining.
Oh boy.
Me. And I'm like, okay. So when you see, and that to me, just as a quick tie around into the other nuggets we've been talking about, that is an example of the mental illness that's going on.
Yes, it is.
So to me, without a doubt, if you watch, and it's good to just checking in because if you can stand it, because you got to hear and see what they're thinking, and because they're the organ, they're the mouth of the party. Did you see James O'Keefe's latest little ditty he captured? I mean, it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's, hey, gee, right again. I'm kind of getting used to being right all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm enjoying racking up another check mark next to another conspiracy theory that I'm analyzing and finding out that, well, the reason it's a conspiracy is because it's true.
Let's dig into this in the last 2 minutes we have, thereabouts. Do you think there is a viable argument trying to be made to replace Kamala Harris?
Yes.
How would they possibly pull that off in front of the public without losing what face they have left?
It would have to be a dramatic event, I think, in my opinion. It would have to be something where she becomes incapacitated. And again, I think this is on the table. The probability is probably less than 20%, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's so close now that, and they've bumbled so much.
Yes.
They have stumbled so much, and they mumble all the fucking time.
Oh my God, I saw some clips of her where I swear to you, and you know me, I don't make shit up just to be poking fun. I could have sworn she was drunk.
That is a huge,
and she was talking like this.
That's a huge analysis that's going on. There's people they have been taking all these different speeches and things that she said, and there's all these compilations of here's when she's clearly not, and here's where she clearly is. Now it may not be alcohol; it could be a prescription or some other substance, right?
Might be.
But
Might just be tired.
There's a clearly two different personas that she gets into on a regular basis. But I think the most likely probability is this is going to shock the shit out of even the people that support Trump. But I think it's going to be such a landslide and too big to rig. In other words, all of the Laura Trump's got over 200,000 volunteers, 2,000 attorneys that have all been, and they've gone through over 1,000 attorneys, and they've gone through 2,000 trainings. And these people are deployed all over the fucking country. So they've got all the shit that they've mined out of the 2020 for the last 4 years. They've got all of the legal stuff that's changed. They've got all these people armed, and they're going to go out and they're going to canvas the fuck out of this shit. There's so many more eyes on it now because of everything has been found. I think it'll be too big to rig. It'll be just this massive landslide. The only other little caveat, and I think that everybody else around the world is kind of maybe, at least the key guys are already just sitting back going, yeah, we need Trump back in here because we got work. We can do shit. Because the shit after we get through this, what's on the other side is going to be the golden age. It'll be the soaring 20s. We're going to see changes in humanity, in the technology. AI is going to be a part of it. Blockchain, tokenization, free energy, free water, free communications. All of this shit is literally within the next 5 years.
Yes.
It's going, our society, our way of life is going to transform in a way that we can't even imagine right now. And it's going to be spectacular. It'll be awesome. And
I love the way he already hailed to Elon Musk to help with Starlink in the disaster-ridden East.
And I got to tell you, he's assembling some peoples whose minds I respect.
Hell yes.
Elon Musk to come in and do a overhaul of the government and then get into some efficiency. Oh my God,
Yes.
you couldn't pick anybody better. Kennedy on Maha, Make America Healthy Again.
Yep.
That is the biggest thing I think that's threatening our country. And that's another big expose that's going to piss people off. But the transformation into being able to have vertical organic, growing your own food in pods with
Yes.
free energy, that is going to liberate humanity, the energy, the water, the technology. So it's going to be fantastic. So I'm sitting back. I got my popcorn. I got a couple of beers, kind of chilled out on consuming the brew. But oh my God, you got the stuff that's coming. You're going to have a beer handy to sit and enjoy.
That's right. Well, we're early voting, as all the nomenclature is saying now from the right. It's there. Use it, because the most problems that would arise would be on voting day. It's where they can manipulate it. They said, get your vote in early, get it done. So I'm just waiting for my ballot to arrive. Rainey's already got here. And there we go. And on that, it's 11:04, and I'm going to call this quits. I got to see my family before everybody's out. So,
well, thanks for letting me in. I appreciate it.
I want you to come in and talk with me next week about this whole thing about the election and things that we didn't get into very deeply, because I think that's going to be a worthy show to be done. So
I agree. There's a lot of very interesting, sketchy, shady shit afoot, and watching each one of them kind of maneuver and play out, and one pops up and then another one pops up, and it's like, okay. I don't think we're going to see a war over in the Middle East. I think I got to tell you, I'll just drop this one in for you. If you, when the Israelis pulled off the pager penis.
Oh my God.
My God. I just went, okay, that is just not only sheer genius, but oh my God, are those guys good?
And people in our own country saying that was an act of terrorism. It's like, what are you fucknuts smoking?
That was brilliant. I was a big thumbs up for me. And then they took out Hezbollah too. And now the mullahs are over there. I'm sure they've got a puckered sphinxter.
Yep.
Because I mean, they're sitting back there looking at it going, damn, these guys just took out all the leaders, and nobody's really complaining because they really did a good job of taking out those
celebrating people. It.
That's right. So I don't think we're going to see a war over there, but that could be the one thing that, they'll say Trump does the too big to rig, and he's got 2 months before he actually gets sworn in. I think that's when they might try to pull their last cat out of the bag, and it could be trying to spark something over in the Middle East, maybe something with Russia. But I think the rest of the country, the rest of the planet's really looking at it going, they need Trump.
Yep.
And I think that's the sentiment. That's the vibe that I'm getting.
It is.
And it's not about whether you like him or not.
Nope.
It's that he is the person that's supposed to be in there. And he's the only one available, apparently. But he also has a track record. He knows how to do this shit. And he wants to do it. He took a fucking bullet and he's still doing it. So I'm like, if I'm looking for somebody to lead shit and fix shit and clean up shit, and oh, by the way, they're getting all these smart people wrapped around him. I think I might want to let that happen.
Trump, the last time he was running, we all said, me and cohorts, we all said, we're not voting for Trump because he's the feel-good, warm, fuzzy president. We're voting for Trump because he's the GSD president, the get shit done. And that's what I'm looking forward to. We got to go on that note. No,
all right, brother.
I got to get out of here. Professor, thanks for being here.
Have a good one.
Talk to you soon. Everybody else, thank you for being here. Good show. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that kind of talk. We need to do a little bit more of that in the upcoming 2-3 weeks left. Well, 4 weeks, I think, as of right now, before the election. So all of you, get your steel panties on, because it's time to hunker down and vote. Get your absentee ballot and vote. Go to the office and vote. Get it done. Vote early, and let's watch it happen. Too big to rig. It's got to happen, folks. And that's all I got. I'm out of here for tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me your time. And we will not be back until Sunday morning. So Sunday morning, I just got to think for a second. I say that all the time, and sometimes I forget that I got something going. But Sunday morning, I think I'm here. So we're going to do the same old on Sunday morning. You be here. And other than that, everybody live long and prosper.